Anotiwa Jehovah Asama Zitema Zakanifuwira pasi Yakachemandiri momu Matopetenzi Akaniburitsa kunzeze Aniburitsa mumatope Angelisa Ine paloma Nasi andi parweyo Umoyo rekukunza Hallelujah Andi misapa dongo petona ye Masiko angu asimiswa pano Andi zongo putikeni pano Domi andi sofika jiremba Andi burita mumatope Andi nisa ini padoma Nasi andi parweyo Umoyo rekukunza Hallelujah Andi parweyo Rutsare rukuza Noru imba usikune sikati Oyo wangu wazarane rufarundi Ichazo kuza mununuri wangu Jehovah Andiburita mumatope Andimisa inipadomo Nasi andi parweyo Umoyo rekukunza Hallelujah Dicha imba tsitsi zake kuneni Jene kunaka kwake kunewese Dicha zoimba rupone sokwese Akarawese basimire mwari Dicha imba tsitsi zake kuneni Jene kunaka kwake kunewese Dicha imbaruko esokwese Akarawese wasimire mari Andiburita mumatope Angelisa ini paromo Nasi andi parweyo Umoyo rekukunza Hallelujah Andiburita mumatope Andimisa ini paromo Nasi andi parweyo Umoyo rekukunza Hallelujah Nasi andi parweyo Umoyo rekukunza Hallelujah Nasi andi parweyo Umoyo rekukunza
Makadi vadua vatereri nhasi ndiri kufara ndine mufaro wakanyanyisisa. It's very rare to sit with a medical doctor who is a woman. Normally tinounganirwa nevarume. Ndakamboenda pane chimwe chipatara ndikati ndiri kukumbirawo kurapwa nemunhukadzi. That day I just felt like I really wanted a woman to attend to me. And they said to me, tingori nevanhurume tokurapa here kana kuti tomira. And, you know, I had no choice. But today I'm sitting here with a medical doctor who is a lady, and I'm super excited. Chiremba, introduce yourself to the people.
Magadi Shenyu, Magadi Musara, Magadi Wadiwa Vateereri nevatariri, ndinonzi Chengetanai Mbetu Tichareva. Ndiri Chiremba sezvataurwa naMai Musara. I'm a wife, I'm a mother of two, a 7-year-old daughter and a 1-year, 4-month-old boy. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. You know what, my teacher Reva, sometimes, but nofunga zvana chiremba, we think of you as vanhu vari so, you know, straight, vanhu vasina upenyu, very rigid. When did you think you wanted to be a doctor?
So funny enough, I remember actually it was in grade 3.
Wow.
And I don't know why I'm so clear about this memory, because kutanga ku preschool and grade 1 and grade 2, I used to want to be my air hostess.
Okay.
And I used to say I want to be an air hostess, I think because I wanted to travel.
Okay.
But in grade 3, and the incident that convinced me I want to be a doctor. Tanga taenda kumusha kwedu kwa Mafua. And baba wangu wanga wane mombe yanga ichirwara.
Okay.
And intending to that cow now, I remember actually saying to my father, I think I want to be a doctor.
Oh, wow.
And I was consistent from then all through primary school, high school, and
it's funny you say that. Isuta iumba mompe, tichitamba nemavutsuku, tichinakigwa. You know, I don't even recall myself wanting to be a doctor at that age, at least. Ndofunga zvakambopindawo in my life at some point it did come, you know. Vana vemateacher tinenge chimbonzi wozoita chiremba kana wakura wozoita lawyer. Those were the professions that we needed to follow. Take me through high school. Ndoda kuti vana vainspire high school muchita masciences sevasikana vepachikoro.
So inini I went to an all-girls school.
Okay.
So Form 1 to Form 6, and so the way, looking back, it's actually a challenge I have with the education system. But anyway, the way they would allocate, I think, was the students who did better, like Form 1, Form 2. Per Form 3, ndopa itangwa the streaming to separate.
Okay.
So those who were higher, who had higher marks, ndoba ibabaendeswa kuma sciences. And like I'm saying, looking back, and now as a parent myself, I feel like that's a problem, because ultimately, it doesn't necessarily mean kuti vanhu vari maybe more academically gifted ndo vanofana kuita end up in those professions. Because now being in the profession, I realize you really need to have a passion for it. It's not just about kugona maths dzacho or chemistry yacho, you know. But nonetheless, that's how it happened, and I ended up in a science class, and then I was fortunate to vandapasa O level yacho. And because it's what I wanted to do, I then went ahead to do my sciences for A level. Like I said, being in a girls' school, I think it shielded us in a way because there was never that competition with boys that I hear from people wangawari in mixed schools and it. So taingoita our thing. The competition was in-house and it.
Yes.
It's only when I then came to university, I remember then realizing, okay, some boys will actually look at you differently.
Okay.
I remember I passed. I only then discovered this later, but I was one of the I was one of the highest chemistry students in our A level nationwide that year.
Really?
So you then find out, you know, so there's then this comparison of, oh, a girl can actually do this. Or when you're in university and then munotanga kunyora ma tests, and then one of the tests, a girl is the highest, and people, so you start to then experience the weighting people put on a woman to say, but like I said, being in an all-girls school, I was probably shielded from it for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say that, because tichikura wai mu class inindakakura pa a rural school, a rural setup, my primary. Tikafunzwa mukomana iti ndodaita doctor, musikana iti ndodaita nurse. It was always like that. You know, throughout up to grade 6, grade 7, vakomana ma doctors, vasikana ma nurses. And looking at how in the STEM subjects. It is right now. Kuti, only 31% of women are in STEM subjects. And I think it comes back from how we are raised
yes.
as women to believe kuti isusu we take the lower quintile of any industry. Kana kuri ku engineering tiri kuzasi uku. Kana kuri ku medical tiri kumwe. Not that it's not, but I'm just saying
I get you.
the way we conceptualize, the way we are raised.
Yeah.
We are not raised to be at the top, but you are, like you say, kuti wakazozviziva later kuti you were the highest. Probably if you were one of the highest or a man, zvaitosara newspapers.
Yeah.
We were going to listen to you on radio. You were going to be celebrated. But this time, chimuti chakaenda kumukadzi. And but I think it's really inspirational that it's coming from a woman and you pursued a grade 3 dream. What does it mean to you as a woman, and what does it mean to our young girls out there?
I think probably what I would say is, so like I said, I'm so grateful to God, Kuti. I actually reached what was a dream back then. And even now, I'm grateful I've now managed to specialize.
Wow.
And you then look back and realize okay, so ndaga specializer in ophthalmology. It's a big word. People then often say so it's ophthalmology. To put it simply, it's
yes,
eyes.
Please. I'm trying to process ophthalmology.
So
did I miss something in my high school?
Okay. And when I tell people that, they always say to me, "Ndimonopa my glass, gonna my glasses as well." It's part of our specialty, but mainly
it's a whole lot more.
Everything to do with eyes. Most commonly zvinozikana nevanhu is removing cataracts.
Okay.
Kunonzi kuparwa tsanga in our yes. So all of those things, vanhu vane sugar, vanoaffectwa maziso, we treat those. You'll find kuti a lot of zvirwere zvinoaffecta maziso actually. So tinodila nezvakawanda.
All right, ophthalmology is not common with female specialists, right?
No, especially when I started, yeah. It's now takuenda tichiti one day vanukadzi, but still it's still a male dominated.
So you are a groundbreaker in many ways.
When you put it that way, I guess I never think about it like that.
I know, right? Because we don't celebrate ourselves as women. We don't celebrate our achievements. It's like an analogy kuti when you go into an interview room and vanokufunza kuti why are you the best candidate? Most women don't tell their achievements right on. But even umwe murume asiri qualified, anototaura kuti, and this and this and this and this and that, spot on. But for women, our culture didn't master the art of celebrating women so often. And isusu takafunga kuti celebrating ourselves in our achievements is not humility.
I think so, and I think you've nailed it on the head, Rutina Kuti. We are raised in this picture of a woman as being, I guess, the picture of submission.
Yeah.
Because even from a young girl, you're taught about uchaenda kakumrume, uchaenda kunana vamwe nandi. So the picture of submission is of usanyanya haufane kuone mukadzi anotaura stede kanonzi akazhangandira. Whilst a man who talks anongonzi munhu anofara nevanhu. I mean, my husband talks.
Yeah.
And everywhere we go, even in my family, everybody knows him. Anotozikana kuti anofara. But if there's a woman like that, it's not murora uyu akazhangandira, ane speed anomanya. So I think because of that, we are raised to, take a step back and dikurumidzi kuti, I'm good at this, I'm this, I'm this and this. When a man does it, he's called assertive. When a woman does it, anonererwa. So I think it's something we need to learn to still be, you can still be humble, but still acknowledge your achievements. And it's something we need to learn. Yeah.
We really need to, because the intelligence comes from the same source. It's from God, and I remember a quote by Ellen White, Daughters of God. It's a book that I love. I mean, every girl out there, every woman, everyone should just get a copy of Daughters of God. It's a book I love. And she has a chapter, I can say, Women as Physicians. And she talks about how we need more women in the medical field. She actually says both women and men should be trained in the medical field. And I like how Ellen White is so deliberate in Daughters of God to have physicians as women. And I think she noticed the gap there. And just seeing women like you actually inspires me. Hey, tine vanhu vanofemegwa at 3 years old. And it's a calling. Ellen White says this is the highest calling that you can ever have. You know, medical and teaching and all sorts of the industry that women actually do. And to have that calling at grade 3 and take it to university, how was it? At university level, you have this man and you have yourself and you are this bright student. How did you?
Maybe before I answer that, I was just thinking when you were mentioning quotation Yamai White, and I think now speaking as a woman, and in saying this, I'm not taking anything away from men, but women naturally tineka kunzwira kati nako.
Oh yes.
It's easier to open up to a woman naturally, which is why even munhu achida kukumbira something pamba anogona kufunza kuti mai pano varipo here ozotaura kuti tapererwa neupfu handiti, because women tineka kunzwira. And now speaking as a Christian, as an Adventist, I have realized that it's probably easier for me as a female physician to even reach out to a client, to a patient, but to then actually say, and they'll say, you know, there's something about being a woman that allows people to open up.
Oh, yes.
And I feel like that's why even Ellen White encourages good women should also be physicians, because I think there's a sector of society that will be easier for a woman to reach out to than a male physician. And like I mentioned, I'm not taking anything away from them, but tine something that in whatever industries we are in, if we used, we would actually go so much further in spreading the word of God. But back to your question, you're talking about university experience and whatnot. So now you're there, you're in medical school. The realities you now have to face are balancing your academics and managing the social.
Oh, yes.
You'll find that it's a fact that social circumstances can affect a woman, a female child, more than a boy child.
Oh, yeah.
For example, vana two vari muclass ku university vakadanana vakaitisana numbu handitika. The debate is going to be about, is this girl going to continue school or not?
Oh, yeah.
But the boy is automatically, as long as finances allow, and so you come to university and you're in this reality of you've been at use it. It's a huge place. You suddenly have all the freedom.
Oh, yes.
But you still need to be focused and say, okay, ndiri mwana akabva kwaakabva and akafambira this, and I still have to do what I came to do. So for me, navigating medical school and what was to still have to daily make the decision, kuti, I'm going to do this. Sometimes it's hard. University was the first time I failed in my life. I remember this test where I got percentage, but so it was also for me a humbling process of coming from being this gifted student all out, but then learning to actually work hard, to focus, and sometimes to put blinkers on all these social, new things that are coming, but still say, okay, we can do it, and isusu we are the use it students vakambovharirwa chikoro 2008, you might remember. So I remember takatombonogara kumba, and my mom had passed away at that point, so it was me and my dad and my cousin Garana, and I could tell my dad was stressed. I'm sure if you remember the time, no one really knew if our university is going to open. But I thank God Shakazofamba, and we eventually finished. And when you graduate, like I said before, sometimes when you're going through the process, I'll feel it. But when you graduate and you really see the joy on your parents and whatnot, that's when you realize,
this was something huge.
And it was something huge. And Yeah, so I think medical school was a learning process. It was humbling,
Yeah.
but I'm grateful for it. I also saw the hand of God. For me, one testimony I've always said I'd share about medical school was being Adventist. Sabata Rashika Friday evening, sunset.
Oh, yes.
I'm no longer studying, and you can see all those around you, and why the Use It library would be open 24 hours. People would be there.
You know, ndakapinda library Use It. I'm telling you, I'm being honest.
So it's also taiona vamwe vachiverenga, and then Saturday vanhu vari kuita madiscussion you uri kuchurch and whatnot, and then you only start studying Saturday evening and whatnot, and sometimes kana Sabbath really busy unenge wakatoneta saka unorara wozoverenga Sunday. But I want to thank God kuti even despite that I did well in medical school. And I actually give that as a testimony kuti I believe God blessed my hours of study, which were less. But because I respected his Sabbath, I can't comprehend that way. So that's one testimony I've always said I'd share about my medical school experience.
Wow. So it means no matter how difficult a subject you're doing, no matter what you want to do, if you want to achieve it, and we have a great testimony here. I'm telling you, in Use It, nakapinda library one, and I want to be honest about that. But why is wakuti team Medecine rinogara ririmo vako vembichimbi vanogara vachiverenga. I'm super proud of you, really, and the achievements dzawakaita. Okay, mu industry manje tapinda mu industry, and I like that part where you talked about failing. Sometimes we think if you fail, you cannot pick yourself up and move on. We give up too early. But it should give us more challenges. Failing should actually challenge you to do more, to put more effort, to introspect, to look into yourself and say, okay, and I'm talking to the woman, akapedza high school kudhara, arikufunga kuti, I think medicine is for me. Tokera, unoita medicine, physics, nekem dishoga. And you can start where you start. Apana kumbonzi, tunafana kungoita straight jacket, but what you want to achieve, you can always achieve. Yes. Now in the industry, masangana na vana guramatuno. Yes.
So it's, like I said, it's still quite a male-dominated industry.
Yes, it is.
But now, so in Indagazo, when I finished my medical school, you then do what's known as internship or housemanship. 2 years, and then one end of district and whatnot. So in that time, I got married. I had my first daughter.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. The dating phase. Was it easy for guys to come kumuskana kuita mbichimbi?
And Manja, unfortunately, I don't know if it was easy for the guys. But I guess it was, looking back, I think it's hard.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and I guess societal expectations and my perceptions.
Yeah.
Kuti, it's not every guy who, because sometimes, but I think we don't but so I guess it takes a certain level of confidence in a man and whatnot. And I think it's very much societal expectations. Kuti, munhu anenge pamwe iwo unenge uchitofarirawo munhu yachikufarira, but ndofunga kuti munhu anenge achingoti vanhu vanozoti chiremba. So yeah, it was, but thank God for my husband, a confident man.
Yes, we have to give that to him.
And he's a good man, and I'm grateful for him. So yeah,
man.
yes. So like I was saying, Kuti, I then got married, had my daughter, and then Vandazotsoka specializer.
Yes.
Being in the industry, so maybe even before specializing, generally being in a profession which is still very male dominated. Despite my even Use It doing a quota system, and I know even other universities around the world doing a quota system, trying to increase numbers of women who are doing medicine and whatnot, it's still very male dominated.
It is.
And you'll find that because of that, there's also a certain group of men, shall I say, vachine the perception of feeling like, women in the profession. I've even had a boss of mine who would say, kushanda nevakadzi vacha tora maternity leave and mwana akapisa muiri vachadi, and you could tell he's really there was a time when we were in medicine, there are what are called firms where you've got a consultant and then my juniors are to work with. So he was the only man in the firm, so it was him and then me and I think 2 other women. So the first day he got powered round, and then he saw Kuti, he's been allocated 3 women. That's the day he actually said, I'm surrounded by women. This is going to be a hard 3 months.
Oh,
so you can
my
tell
goodness.
Kuti, there are people who still feel Kuti, yeah. You even have patients who walk in and say, maybe you're working with a male nurse. Then the nurse was and so there's still a lot of perceptions and people struggling to accept a female doctor.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes if you just focus on your work, do what you need to do. Don't take offense. Like the example I was giving, sometimes patients think good in the awareness or whatnot. I've worked with women who then get very upset and say, but I've always just thought, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm here to do my job.
And let me do that.
I'm not going to get upset or even a boss who will treat you differently from your male colleague. It's okay. I've come to do my job and I'm going to focus on that. And eventually people will then say, you're actually very hardworking. And you want to say, what did you think? Because I'm a woman. So yeah, those are things that happen in the industry.
And you know what they have said? They have said actually women work way harder than men in any industry that's male dominated. You have to prove yourself.
I think that's
you don't
the
have
reason.
to make a mistake.
Yes.
You have to be perfect. But no one is perfect.
Yeah.
No matter what industry you are in, you make mistakes and it should be allowed.
Yeah.
But that one mistake that a woman can make can actually cost you.
Yes.
It can be blown off.
So you really need to. Yesterday, my son actually had a fever, so I didn't go to work. But you'll find, Kuti, mentally I'm already thinking, on Monday I need to cover up for my absence.
Pressure.
So even in pressure, you constantly feel like you have to make up somehow for being a mother and being a wife. And
because the society expects us to work hard, I think I would love a society where women are allowed to make mistakes. Women are also allowed to be doctors and have children and be pregnant and be themselves. I think it's beautiful that way, where we are saying we want to be in this industry, but at the same time we are women. We have other roles that we are going to do, that we are going to make, and it's perfectly okay for us to make so many mistakes. Family life, how is that for you?
Family life. So this is a demanding profession.
It is. I know
and
that.
It's demanding through medical school, and then if you then, like I did, decide to specialize, it's also very demanding. It's 4 years of your life. Where if you're like me, you're married and you've not got children, you have to make sacrifices. And I think it's important, even speaking as a woman who's been fortunate to get all these opportunities, it's also important as women to realize, Kuti, we have these avenues that have opened to us. But in making decisions about what you want to do, you also need to be aware, Kuti, there are sacrifices that are going to have to be made. Sacrifices of time with your spouse, with your children, even, I think I'll give the example of the time Yandandruku specializer, which is my most recent experience. That's when I really felt, Kuti, I'm grateful for the support system for my husband. Very understanding. He would stand in the gap where necessary, because sometimes you're going to miss sports days. You're going to miss a consultation. And it's hard as a mother. There's this thing called mom guilt, which is very true. Which doesn't necessarily follow in fathers. Fathers, if you can't make it in Mama's day, it's okay. But even though there is there, I should have been there. Yes. So we have this mom guilt of constantly then judging ourselves. Why should I be specializing? But I'm grateful for the support system, because you need it. And I'm sure it's not just medicine, even women in other professions, even you, I'm sure you can testify. An intact support system is important. Sacrifices have to be made along the way. But in sacrificing, I think one thing I learned is also sometimes to sacrifice the professional side so that I make time for my family. To then say, important. Okay, I'm dedicating this hour. It's going to mean, Kuti, I'm going to study late into the night, but it's okay. Kuti ndimbo focus on Vana. Kuti ndimbo focus on my husband, doing those things. I always laugh, Kuti, the time I was sacrificing, I was at school and I was in specializing. Chero kukaita family function, party, kana mchato, unenge uripo, but moyo wako uchingoti
should be somewhere.
Go back and study and it. But ultimately, it paid off, and I'm grateful for that. But I'll emphasize again, it's important to have a good support system. And I'm sure a lot of women, the reason they will then struggle and sometimes not even pursue the dreams they want to is because I think zvinozondinetsa because unoziva masystems ako unoziva vanhu vako.
Yeah.
So you need to go in knowing that I need these people around me kuti zvibudirire.
I think that's what we need as women, someone who comes through for us to fill in the gaps, to know that support system yakasimba from our partners, from our parents, from everyone around us who can come and say, you know what, this weekend I'm taking the kids away, this weekend this weekend I'm just coming kuti ndizobika while you pursue your dreams. And we need that support system, especially if we have partners from our partners, so that they can hold our hand vofamba nesu vachititirawo zvimwe zvavanokwanisa, so that we have a field yakanaka. You know what, this has been so interesting, and I'm just so happy to be sitting with a lady doctor here with me. What are your last words to the women out there?
I think what I'm going to say is we need to understand and appreciate that our journeys are different. In whatever industry you're in whatever profession you're in, whatever you're pursuing, whether it's education or sometimes setting up a new business, you know, to a lot of time. Whatever it is, our journeys are different. And what I mean by that is, like I mentioned, good, sometimes there are sacrifices and whatnot. How someone else had to sacrifice is not how you might have to be.
Oh, yes.
What I prioritize on my journey is not.
Yeah.
I'll give a classic example. You could, I love to cook. I love to cook for my family. So even through the stress of school and everything, I would somehow always cook supper for my family. I did. And some people would say, oh, no, you don't need to, you know, your help can do it or whatnot. But it was something that I enjoyed and that I made a decision because I'm not going to do. But I'm not then going to judge someone else and say, because our journeys are different. And the decisions we need to make so that we achieve are different. And I think it's important as women to also then understand that sometimes a particular woman then even deciding, I'm not going to specialize. It's actually okay.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And we're not then going to judge and say you're underachieving. But at the same time, another woman saying, I'm going to pursue this. We then also don't judge her and say, neglect or whatnot. Tino batsirana along the way, but we should always appreciate our journeys are different. And namwari, trusting in God, putting God first, He will always take us through. I think those would be my last words.
Oh, wow. What a better way to end this discussion. I'm really inspired. I'm motivated. And like she said, each woman has a different journey. What's your journey? Where do you want to see yourself? If you haven't started, start now. And then dafara chumwe chunu chekuti the dreams. Zepa grade 3. I'm still in awe. Grade 3 dreams come true. So what are we nurturing in our kids? Thank you again for watching as we keep the conversation going about Adventist young women who are doing wonders, inspiring us on a daily basis, keeping us going. May our good Lord bless you.
Amen.
Tinofara kubatira tenzi, tinovuma kumubatira basa iro tenzi anotipa, tinoitane kutendeka tomubatira toenda mberi tine rufaro tomubatira pano mumunda wake tinofara kuparadza soko rerudo kune vanhu pasi Jesu ari kupenya kwa Baba anotipa zvikomborero tomubatira toenda mberi tine rufaro tomubatira pano mumunda wake nekupfawa totera tenzi tinofamba nekuperera topangira mangidza, vamwe kuna tenzi nevanyangadzi kugwayana. Tomubatira, toenda mberi, tine rufaro. Tomubatira, pano mumunda wake. Tomubatira, toenda mberi, tine rufaro. Tomubatira, pano mumunda wake.